Welcome back to another Bourbon Santa video. Today we're trying a store pick. Well, a single barrel, not store, but a pick. Single barrel pick of New Riff. This is 103.4 proof. And this is called The Nightmare Before Riffmas. It's got a cool little scary ass Santa Claus on the back. And it's supposed to be Skellington. And yeah, it looks like it. It's pretty good. Pretty good Tatey sticker. I like it. Now this barrel pick was done by 2 boys, 1 bottle. I mean 2 bros, 1 bottle. 2 boys, 1 cup. 2 dudes, 1 Glen. It brings up really bad memories for me. I saw a meme the other day and it said about these 2 women that got the monkeypox and from drinking out of the same cup, and it said that if you Google 2 girls 1 cup, you get the article. I don't recommend you do that, but these guys, their group, it always makes me think of that, and it cracks me up every time because I have a very dark sense of humor and I'm disgusting. So it comes with a cool little fiddly bit with Jack on there, and it's awesome. It's got a nice little wax job on top with the white wax, and full transparency, I actually helped. I put in my 2 cents on which barrel of the 3 that were offered by New Riff these guys should get, and this happens to be the sample that I recommended that they get, and they agreed with me, much to my happiness, and this is the pick they did, and I grabbed 2 of them. I'm going to share one of these with my Patreon members, so if you're not in my Patreon, you should probably do that. There's some really cool bottles coming up, some that I won't even talk about, that are amazing. Anyway, so we're going to review this real quick. I'm using, maybe you can see it, I don't know if you can see it from the angle of the camera, but this is a new barrelhead Glen coaster that I made. It's got my little Logie Yogi on there, and it's got some feet on the back so it doesn't screw up your furniture, and it's the whole barrel charred backside of a barrel head. And this one, all of these that I've made so far go to my patrons, and I don't know if you've noticed from my Instagram and Facebook, but I like to play with wood, not just mine, and so I make these kind of cool things and I give them away to my patrons. And this one is going to Mr. Tyler Uris, and I figured I'd use it in this review before I ship it to him, just for fun, just so he can, I mean, who cares, right? I'm not important or popular or famous or anything, but your coaster was used in a review. So there you go, Tyler. Anyway, let's do this. Let's do this. Maybe another good reason to get into my Patreon, I give them dumb crap like this, like dumb crap that I make in my garage out of barrels and weird stuff. So it's fun for me. I like it. It gives me joy to give other people stuff, even though I'm way behind on shipping things because summer has been kicking my ass, and I do air conditioning for an actual living. This isn't what I do. This is for fun. So yeah, I'm way behind on sending things, but I love giving away stuff, hence why I end up being called the frickin' Bourbon Santa. I didn't pick that. It's just the way it goes. So let's review this. Enough doodly dooting. I keep talking for no reason. Now, this is a really weird, I gotta talk about this for a minute. And maybe this video is gonna be a little longer than I normally do. I honestly don't care. I just want to talk to you guys about whiskey. I, in the past, have not loved New Riff. I have not loved really any of the samples that I've had. I've never owned a bottle because you guys were gracious enough to send me lots of samples of New Riff, and I tried lots of samples of New Riff, and I just didn't love anything that I've had, other than the Balboa rye, is pretty flippin' good, okay? The Balboa is pretty good. I'll give them that. Other than that, what I've tried has not bowled me over. So when David and these guys said they wanted to do a store pick and it was going to be new Riff and asked if I would help, I was like, okay, you know, I'll help. I mean, I'll taste it and give you my opinion. But, you know, FYI, I haven't loved anything that I've had from New Riff other than Balboa Rye so far. So they sent me 3 samples, and that's how New Riff works when you're doing a store pick. They send you 3 samples, and if you don't like any of those 3, it's pretty much they're pretty much, because you already have agreed to do the pick. You've already given your deposit. You're locked in. You're contractually obligated to take a pick. And they send you 3 samples and say, here, we hope you like one of those 3. And if not, too freaking bad. You already agreed to this. So I don't love New Riff's barrel pick process at all. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan at all. I will never do a New Riff pick because of that. I'm not going to be limited to 3 options, and screw you if you don't like any of the 3. Well, fortunately enough, when these 3 options came, there was one that I absolutely hated. It was disgusting. One that was mediocre at best. And then there was this one, which was actually pretty great. So this is the one we picked, and I was pretty sure once I tried them all that everybody was going to agree with me. And on the selection committee, everyone but I think one person liked the one that I thought was mediocre better than this one. But this is the one we ended up with. And honestly, I think it's pretty great. Now that I have the bottle to try, I like it even better than the sample that I had, which is really a huge relief when you try something off a sample. And I learned this with my pick, my Oak and Eden pick. You know, I tried 4 different samples, and they were all different finishes. And then the finish that I loved the most, which I liked 3 of the 4, but the one I loved the most, when the bottles came, it tasted the same as the sample, and so I was so relieved, unbelievably relieved. And I feel the same way now, because this came, we have the bottles, and I wrote down my sample notes, and then next to it I wrote down my bottle notes, and I actually get a little more out of the bottle than I got out of the sample, but a lot of the same stuff transfers. So let's just jump in here. There's a semi-sweet chocolate and blueberries note. Clove, cinnamon, a little bit of allspice. It's got a really nice medley of baking spices. There's a vanilla custard hanging out in the back. And there's this weird note that hits me like white cooking wine. Now, I don't know that I've ever gotten this specific note on a whiskey before, but I absolutely get it on this. If you guys have ever cooked like some mushrooms in a white cooking wine, not like a marsala, like a white cooking wine, I get that note in this whiskey. And then there's a melted butter, like creamy, rich, viscous, fatty, buttery note that I get. Really comes through. Let's taste. Oh, oak, toffee, like buttercream frosting. Starts to hint towards like a brownie batter towards the end. That semi-sweet chocolate from the nose comes back as more of a thick, wet, like brownie batter before you cook it. Brownie batter, not brownies. Lots of rye spice. Lots of citrus, but it's like kind of like a tart orange citrus note. Like, oh, not sour sprout. Not quite sour. It's like a tart orange. You know how every now and then you get an orange that's not super, super sweet. It's more tart. It's like that. And then the finish is all oak, vanilla, and rye. I think it's a great pick. I'm super excited for Two Boys, One Cup. I mean, Two Bros, One Pick to do their next pick, because this one came out freaking awesome. And it's always nice when you do your very first pick and it turns out to be a banger. And I feel the same way. And so I can only imagine how David and his buddies are feeling right now, his partners. Because like my pick, same way, it was my first pick ever, and I'm so happy with how it came out. And then same with this one. You guys are really did a good job with New Riff. And honestly, I think because it's New Riff, you were handicapped. I don't like their barrel pick process. I think that sets you up for maybe getting 3 barrels you don't even like and to pick from. And then you got to pick the best of the least bad, the best of the worst, the least bad bourbon. And that's a kind of a bad situation to be in when you're trying to put out a new product, especially for the first time. I mean, if you're on your 7th or 8th barrel pick and you have one that's kind of a stinker, it can be a little more excused. You know, you've done well, but your very first one, you want to be a home run, and I think I think you guys did a really good job. So congratulations, and I was so happy to be included on the selection process, and so happy to have a couple of these in my collection. I'm gonna chop one up for Patreon, so you should probably join. Links in the description. You should probably get in there. There's a bunch of stuff coming, and you know, it'll be fun. Until next time, I hope you have a great day.